Hey there YouTube, this is Landon on Order of the Traveling Hats today, and in today's episode I'd like to talk to you about two different Jeeps. The first Jeep is a friend of mine's Jeep that he used to own. It's a Jeep Grand Cherokee WK. It had the 3-liter Mercedes diesel in it, and it was equipped with quadra-drive, which is a fairly sophisticated full-time four-wheel drive with locking differentials that are all automatic. The second Jeep is my old 2013 JK Rubicon Unlimited. It had basically lockers front, center, and rear as well. The differences between these are fairly substantial. Body on frame versus a unibody, independent front suspension versus a live axle. And so in the first clip, we'll look at his WK going through an obstacle that we both went through at Palo Duro Canyon in Texas on a Jeep Jamboree several years ago. I think you'll see the differences. They're pretty obvious. And I also think it's interesting to see that we were both able to make it through this with very little difficulty. So let's watch that first clip. So here you can see he's just now entering the obstacle. This is called the Coyote Crawl. It's at Palo Duro Canyon down in the bottom of the canyon. I apologize for the shaky camera. We didn't have GoPros at the time. This is filmed with a Sony A7 that was an early generation camera. Handheld by my buddy Gabe, who's got the Gladiator now. Here you can see that he's got his driver's rear tire up in the air there for a minute. He's now got his passenger rear tire up, and I think in some of these video clips you can see that the tires all continue to turn at the same rate, and that's that quadra drive system just locking up the drivetrain on its own as soon as it detects wheel slip. It's a very responsive system. It's a pity that Jeep doesn't make it anymore. It's no longer available on the Grand Cherokees because it was truly a capable system and great for an overlander or something like that. This is evidence of just how capable that system really is. Now here you really can see the driver's side tire. I think if you look closely, it's turning but not spinning, even though it's probably 4 or 5 feet in the air at the moment. He is coming up on the next obstacle. He's going to put his passenger side tire on it, and I think his driver's side tire may come off the ground a little bit here. Certainly his rear is. And he just kind of keeps muscling through it slowly yet surely. You can see the Jeep's moving around a lot. It's teetering a lot because it just doesn't have that much suspension travel, especially in the front end, due to not having a sway bar disconnect. But regardless, he's still able to move forward due to the lock differentials. Now he's just getting ready for this last part of the obstacle here. Look how high that passenger side tire is off the ground, and then notice how it continues to turn at the same rate as the other tire. He's in the wall a little bit there, but that's okay. And it doesn't really spin, and he just keeps moving forward. Now there's a steep part of this obstacle to get out at the end that he's going to come up over in just a minute, and then he'll be out of the obstacle. This part here wasn't too bad. Again, sorry for the shaky camera. It's the best we had at the time. This video is from our archives, probably from 2016 or 2017, I think. Getting ready to come out of the obstacle now. This is a kind of steep part right at the end.
Keep going, keep going! That's awesome, man. That's badass.
So I think out of that first clip, you can tell that the WK does pretty well with that quadra drive system on it. he was able to lift tires in the air and get through the obstacle with not very much difficulty. He is limited in his suspension articulation, especially on the front, due to the sway bar and the lack of any kind of sway bar disconnect. But he was able to make it through the obstacle, so that's something to certainly keep in mind. That Grand Cherokee, I've driven it, ridden in it, and it rides very well, rides a lot better than my Wrangler ever did. So that's also something to consider if this is going to be your daily driver. In this next video clip, we'll watch my Jeep go through the same exact obstacle, and I'll point out some of the differences, some of the things that I thought I did right, and some of the things I thought I did wrong, just like I did with his Jeep. And then we can close up with a summary. So you can see me entering the obstacle now. The Jeep's axle is already articulating on the front a whole lot more than that Grand Cherokee could, and you can watch that here. It just really is able to flex and move around freely with that sway bar disconnect that's on the Rubicons. It's really great. You can see that axle's moving nearly a foot in either direction as we go over the obstacle, and because of that you can tell that the Jeep is more level in its general attitude, and it doesn't sway back and forth as much, and it's just a more stable platform to go through the obstacle, which gives you a lot more confidence. It's why I'm able to make better time through the obstacle than my buddy Wes was in his WK. You can see me with the tire compressed all the way up in the passenger side fender there. Now we're about to compress it all the way up to the driver's side, and you're going to get to see just how much that thing, you can see the droop is amazing. The passenger side tire is actually below the frame rail there. And then we get into this level portion, and it's not really as bad until we come out of the obstacle. So let's just watch that. And again, I apologize for the shaky camera operator. We didn't have GoPros or drones back then, and we're fixing that problem now. So here I am coming around, and I'm about to hit the exit of the obstacle and come up out of it. Similar to the way Wes did, you kind of had to gun it to get out of this thing a little bit. It was really steep and uneven right through here, as you can kind of see, but you can still see my axle working pretty well. And there we are. So I hope you guys could see the differences in that second clip compared to the first clip. The Rubicon certainly had an easier time getting through the obstacle, thus the second clip is quite a bit shorter. I think you can also see that the articulation in that Rubicon is significantly greater than the articulation present in the WK. The Rubicons are just about unmatched in that, so I don't really know if that's a completely fair comparison, comparing a Wrangler to any kind of Grand Cherokee from any era. But I hope you found that kind of educational. I hope it maybe shed some light for some of you that maybe had questions. There's certainly a lot of videos out there comparing straight axles to independent front suspension, and that's an age-old argument that we aren't trying to settle today. I just thought it would be interesting to point out two very different Jeep setups at the same obstacle on the same day. The other thing that is really important to note is that neither one of those Jeeps really was what I would consider extreme in any way. That WK was running a 2-inch lift from Old Man Emu with 32-inch tires and otherwise a stock drivetrain, and the JK was running a 2.5-inch lift with 33-inch tires. So just slightly larger than factory tires and just very minimal lift to maintain road manners and fuel economy, etc. Yet both Jeeps were able to conquer that obstacle that was fairly difficult with very little difficulty. So if you liked this and want more content like this, please let us know in the comments, and remember to like and subscribe to the channel. It'll help us out. We're a new channel just trying to get started, and I hope to see you guys out there on Order of the Traveling Hats.